E3 Sony conference and also the Xbox One conference for 2013. And we're talking about what we thought of the both presentations. So let's start off with spiderjackangel, and you can tell us what you thought of the Xbox One presentation.
Well, for starters, the Xbox One presentation I thought was actually pretty good. But however, I wasn't really as anxious as I am for Microsoft this time around. I mean, there were a lot of things I was hearing about Xbox One, and a lot of stuff that I worried about basically came into focus. And overall, probably the most impressive lineup with the Xbox One were actually the games. Some of the games actually looked pretty good, and I'd probably say my favorite out of the Xbox One game was actually, I believe the title was Rise, and it was a Rome fighter game. Basically, you play as a character, and it's almost in the same league as Shadows of Rome for the PlayStation 2, where you're playing as a Roman and basically you're killing people. And it just looked really good. It looked like it was trying to capitalize on fans of that game along with fans of Spartacus, and it just looked really interesting. And I actually was thinking that if I could rent a video game for Xbox One, that would actually be the one I would want to rent.
Yeah.
So, but however, in terms, was I impressed with the Xbox One? The graphics looked okay. The games look pretty good here and there, but overall, it just didn't win me over. It was kind of lackluster. But however, I was really anticipating Sony's press conference.
Yeah.
And, and I'm a big gamer. I have a PC, I have a Wii U, I have an Xbox 360, I have a PlayStation 3, so, I like the game. And PlayStation 4, and I was thoroughly against. I had my mind kind of closed-minded. I mean, you can even back me up by basically saying that I didn't like the fact that, it's not backwards capable. And I will admit it right now. I did not like that. It irritated me.
Let's just point this out to the listeners out here. You will be able to play PlayStation 3 games. You'll be able to download them on the store. You'll be able to play them through the cloud network. So Sony hasn't totally eliminated the whole PlayStation 3 thing. It's just you won't be able to play the discs, basically.
Yeah, and that is kind of irritating. But, however, here was the good thing, is that Sony unveiled a lot of really good games. And the one that I was so ecstatic for was Kingdom Hearts 3.
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be the selling point for me for that system because I love Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is an amazing video game series and definitely something that both adults and kids can enjoy. It has great characters, has a good storyline. Now, it's debatable if the series kind of spiraled out of control after 2 because they kind of did prequels slash, sequels kind of. But however, Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be awesome. I almost can guarantee it. They can't screw that game up. And then Final Fantasy Versus looked really good. And then the last one that I was really impressed with was the fact that they're making. I hope that Mel Gibson's behind it because if Mel Gibson's behind it, I don't give a crap how crappy that game might turn out to be. I will buy it.
It's either Mel Gibson or Tom Hardy, but I'm hoping it's Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's Mel Gibson as well because Mel Gibson made Mad Max. And for those of you that are listening that have not seen the Mad Max movies, shame on you. Go see those movies right now. Although you can skip Beyond Thunderdome if you want. See The Road Warriors and Mad Max.
Hey, my favorite's Beyond Thunderdome. That was a good movie.
Well, to each his own. But however, the Sony press conference was good, and the person presenting it he took a couple low blows at Microsoft. I'm not gonna lie. But overall, it was really impressive because Sony brought out the big guns. Now, I will say the PS4 does look like a mixture between the Nintendo Wii, but about the same size as the PlayStation 2, but as thick almost as PlayStation 3. That to each his own. That's just my perspective on it, and I have to say, regardless, I will buy this system.
I thought it looked like kind of like a hybrid between the original PlayStation 3 and the Super Slim, where they kept the the sleek kind of look of the original, and then they went with the kind of look of the Slim.
The PlayStation 4 has a stand like the Wii does, and that's the other reason I kind of compared it to the Wii. But however, I'm a big gamer. I'm excited for this, and I can't wait. So, Dan, what did you think of the Xbox One?
Well, I thought the Xbox One, well, I think it's really great that the Xbox One has a Blu-ray player finally. I mean, it took them long enough to integrate a Blu-ray player in it. And, I didn't think their presentation was as good as Sony's because I don't think they really focused on games. They were more focusing on being an entertainment system. But I think that they're trying to like, I don't know, step outside the circle and not try to be like Sony. So I think they're trying to do their own thing. But I think that's kind of their downfall because they're more talking about, the PVR capabilities and everything. And I think the difference really is, I mean, the Xbox One it looks to be a pretty good console, but it's got a lot of things that I don't think are that great about it. Like the fact that you always have to be connected to the internet every 24 hours isn't very good. And they're kind of advertising it like a PVR, and that kind of irritated me. They're like, oh, by the way, you can plug your PVR into your Xbox One. I mean, I already have problems with my PVR sometimes. So how many problems I'm gonna have when I have to plug it into my my Xbox One. It's gonna malfunction a lot. And not only that, but they're gonna have to design PVRs that work with the Xbox One. So the PVR is out right now. Your PVR that you own already is not going to work with it. It's going to be the new ones that are going to be designed specifically for that console. So that's what people got to realize. The PVR that you got in your living room right now, probably not going to be compatible. They're going to have...
It's going to be a heck of a time setting it up. I mean, I set up my Nintendo Wii U to my television to make it so I could turn off my television and my charter box. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it took me at least a couple hours and a couple swear words every so often.
And another thing I wanted to point out was, this whole talking technology that Xbox One is using, that's not really new technology. In fact, Samsung's already incorporating that in their TVs, and they've been doing this for about 4 years now, where you can talk to your television, change the channels, you can move things around with your hands and the motion. They even have, cameras in their TVs now. So, it's almost like they're trying to copy Samsung a little bit here, It's a little bit of old technology.
Yeah. But let me ask you this, Danny. Were you ever a Microsoft fan?
I was a Microsoft fan back in the day. I owned the original Xbox. And I played the original Halo, and I played the original Halo 2. And then Xbox 360 came out, and they're like, oh, to play the next Halo game, you gotta have the 360. And I was kind of mad about that, that they...
Yeah, but let's be fair, the Xbox 360 is a good console.
It is a good console, but I think that the 360 kind of did one thing wrong, though. I think we can admit this. they went with the whole HD DVD thing when the 360 came out. And,
oh yeah, I
and Sony went with the Blu-ray. And
yeah,
basically,
I remember that. That
Sony
was funny, actually.
You know, that's the problem. People shouldn't have different formats. They should just go with one format, and they should have had an agreement with Sony, and then everything would have been worked out. And obviously, they made some kind of a deal with Sony now, because I know Sony owns some of the rights to Blu-ray, so they have that incorporated in their console now. So obviously they came to an agreement somehow under that. But I'm glad that they finally have Blu-ray. That was the one thing why I didn't get the 360. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy the PlayStation 3 because then I'll have a Blu-ray player and I'll have a console all in one. And I wanted a Blu-ray player at the time. Because I had just gotten, my dad had just bought an HD TV, and I wanted to watch Blu-ray movies. So I was like, well, I can play, I can play games and also watch Blu-ray movies. And now, finally, Xbox One has caught up with Sony, and they incorporated that. And that's the one good thing I can say about Xbox One right now.
On E3, Sony's press conference, and finally the big reveal of the PlayStation 4, the system that we've been all anxious of waiting for.
I think that Sony hit a home run on their press conference, and I think they had the best press conference that I've seen in a long time. I mean, first of all, they came out with a console that has an even faster Blu-ray player than Xbox One's. They already topped that. And then not only that, but they say, they obviously they wanted Xbox One to go first. Or they just planned this out from the beginning, from the get-go, and they had somebody that knew something about the Xbox One. Maybe they had a guy go in and spy on them or something, like Willy Wonka and the Charlie and Chocolate Factory. I don't know, but somebody was on the inside, and they got the down low of what was going on. Because they knew what to say in their press conference. So they came out and they said, you know what? First of all, we're going to allow you to play used games. Because they knew that Xbox One wasn't going to allow used games. They knew all this news. Obviously, they were up to date on what Microsoft was doing.
Yeah.
And when they made that commercial and they had that little parody of that guy...
Here's how you share your games.
Yeah, and you see what I mean? That was the perfect advertisement right there, and I mean that was hilarious how they advertised that. And not only that, but they
won the fans over.
Let's just put this way to all the Microsoft or Xbox One fanboys out there watching this video right now. I mean, I think anybody can admit that you all want to go to a video store and be able to rent video games. I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there that's going to be like, oh, I only buy new games. I never play used games or buy used games or rent used games. There's always going to be a point where you want to rent a game or buy a used game from GameStop or something. And I think that Xbox One, that was their problem. They're basically isolating themselves from the world. They're saying, okay, well, we're not going to allow GameStop to sell our games. That's like millions and millions of dollars right there. And then we're not going to allow people to rent our games. You know how many video stores out there buy copies of Xbox games? I mean, that's millions of dollars right there. I mean, they're losing money already on this. And
well, they're allowing people to buy used games, but they're basically charging you $5 upcharge. So you would be paying about the same amount if you were to buy it new, with Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the used game market is a market that should be respected. People that buy a game have every right to give that game to a friend or sell that game They have every right. That's why we have eBay. That's why we have Amazon, because we have secondhand stuff, right? And that should be respected in the game industry.
Plus, it will allow you to experience stuff that you may have not experienced the first time around. I mean, I played Fatal Frame, 2 and 3, constantly when I talk to you, and I haven't played those games when they originally came out because of the fact that I thought the premises looked stupid. I didn't think that the games would be freaky as shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if you buy a book, you should be able to take that book and give it to a friend and they can read it. Now it's like they're giving you a book and they're like, oh, by the way, this book blows up after you read it and nobody else can use it but you. That's just terrible. I mean, why would you?
What's your favorite game at the Sony press conference? Such a game, 21, awesome.
My favorite game at the press conference was Dying Light. I was really impressed with the trailer. It looks like kind of like a cross between like Uncharted and like a zombie game, I guess. Like, looks pretty.
It kind of almost reminded me of like a zombie apocalypse meets The Running Man, just because of the fact that it's like every person for themselves.
Yeah, it looks interesting, especially.
I mean, you see this one person. It almost looks like an Infamous sequel, and then out of nowhere, the guy just goes like, "Hey, by the way, fuck you, smack." Just like, what?
Yeah, you went in for really high expectations of Xbox One, and you went in for really low expectations of PlayStation 4, and now you've changed your mind because of the press conference. Can you tell us why?
Yes, because the fact that I don't like that Xbox is going through with trying to cancel out the rental department. I mean, that is, very nice. I would prefer to rent video games to, titles that I'm unsure of, because I've always done that. And even if I, am unsure of it, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to buy it. I mean, I might buy it sometime when it comes down in price if I think it, doesn't deserve the full price. But however,
and by doing that, you're making people lose their jobs, because people depend on this. The gaming community is a big part of video stores, and they have these games in there, and Microsoft is losing money because video stores around the world buy these games and let people rent them. And
it's just like if they the movie company decides not to let us, go see movies anymore.
That would be terrible.
We just have to buy movies instead.
Yeah. There'll be like, oh, you can't go to the movie theater. You have to buy these movies. That would be terrible.
Because some movies I like, some movies you like.
And sometimes you got to experience a game. Sometimes you have to rent it to know if you want to buy it.
I mean, there's certain studios where that you're going to get what you paid for. I mean,
and some games don't even have demos, so sometimes you gotta go out to rent the game to know. And some
games have sneaky demos where they are only available through certain products that you may be on the know of.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people, if they buy a game, have the right to sell it on eBay or Amazon for a cheaper price, and that's how you get good deals. And that people will buy the games and they will sell it to other people. I mean, they're making money off that anyway. So and I think that's what Xbox One did that was wrong. And then also they're saying that if you don't have the internet, then you can't play your games. And I think that's a terrible thing to tell people.
But let's acknowledge that both Sony and Nintendo had a very good press conference. And while Nintendo's was a little bit more smaller this year because of the fact they didn't go really have a big announcement like they always do at E3. Yeah. It was still impressive. I mean, I watched Nintendo Direct on the Nintendo site. They had a lot of really good games that they showed off. Yeah. And, just to give you a little bit rundown of the Wii U titles, X Mammoth from Mammoth Software, which looks to be an RPG mixed into a, mech assault game. I mean, it looks really interesting. Mario Kart 8, which looks to be really good. It looks to be, completely different than other Mario Karts.
Yeah.
Super Smash Brothers, which is going to be good. Although these games come out 2014, which does kind of suck. A new Sonic game looks to be out by the holidays. Another Donkey Kong game, which looks to be really good. Bayonetta 2, which is going to be due out 2014. And they actually showed more gameplay footage for that game rather than just a trailer. Like, the gameplay footage looks awesome.
And let's just point this out.
Disney Infinity, which is due out August 18, 2013. Rayman Legends is going to be due out.
It's going to be on all consoles, though. But
September 3rd. And then Disney's Planes, which is, a spin-off of the movie Cars, is going to be due out August 6th.
And
Skylanders Swap Force, October 13th.
Yeah.
And Pikmin 3, which a lot of people is really looking forward to, and it's probably going to be a big sell, is going to be due out August 4th. And then sometime soon in the eShop, we're going to get a remake, updated DuckTales game of the original DuckTales from the, NES, the Nintendo. And that's going to be awesome.
And I just want to point this out. I mean, Nintendo and Sony are both, Japanese companies, and they're both great. It all started with Nintendo. And I think that the Japanese are actually respecting gamers more than, I would say, the American, Microsoft kind of. I'm just saying that I just feel like they're giving people more freedom, actually, to like...
Yeah. Well, let's be fair. There's a couple, really good gaming companies, and I almost forgot to mention the biggest surprise for me at E3 this year was the announcement. 3 consoles, mostly PlayStation 4. Me personally, I know people are gonna probably not agree with me on this, but I think that could be in competition to beating out both Battlefield and Call of Duty. Because, Battlefront for the PlayStation 2, the 2 Battlefront games were awesome games to play again. And if they can bring that into a player world, online multiplayer.
Yeah. And I just want to say this,
it's just gonna be fun.
I want to point this out though too, like Call of Duty is a third party game, so it's gonna be on all systems, but the only difference is the Call of Duty on the PlayStation 4 you'll probably be able to play when you're offline. You see what I mean? So if you get in a storm, you'll still be able to play your game, and I think that's why the PlayStation 4 kind of...
Yeah, I'm working on the campaign.
Exactly. No, that's what I mean, though. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're able to play a game offline, I think that makes the console worth the money. Because, let's face it, we're not always going to have internet. Internet goes out all the time. It's like...
And let's face it also. Depending on where you are, you might not even have internet. Or the internet you may have may not be strong enough for the Xbox. Because they did say at that conference that it had to be a specific type of internet. Specific type of strength.
Exactly. And you should be able to play offline and online and whatever situation you're in, basically. That's what I'm saying. Because some people like offline, games, and they like to play them offline. So.
That being said, I do have to say some of the Xbox One games do look interesting.
Yeah.
I said this at the beginning of this big review. I like the Rome game that they have, Rise. Yeah. The new game from Remedy Studios looks awesome. I mean, Remedy basically had involvement on making the first Max Payne video game, which is by far the best Max Payne video game, and the third one's probably the second best.
And now Sony's coming out with a new Max Payne game, which looks really good. So you would say that PlayStation 4 won this right now?
I would say they had the most impressive conference.
All right.
Games, I would probably say it would be a toss-up between Sony and Nintendo. I really was impressed with both of their game lineups for both systems.
You would say Sony won this because of business decisions. They won this because they gave people more freedom of
Yeah.
how they want to play their games.
Yeah, they gave us the choice, and we should always have the choice to buy, rent, or sell.
Or play
video.
offline. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, creators shouldn't be, taxing people for, selling their games used. I mean, okay, I understand that when a game is sell used, that studios miss out on the money. I understand that, and, I do feel sympathy for them. But there has to be a little bit more, a better way about going about this.
And we should have a right, if we buy something, to sell to somebody else. We should have that right,
Yeah.
That's our right, So
I mean, even if you could, borrow your game, let somebody borrow your game.
Yeah.
It would be nice if you could do that. If you could do that like digitally and have that person like return that game back to you within, I don't know, like a day. But it seemed like even if you let the person borrow the game, they basically own the game. So I could see a bunch of problems going with that. And it just seems like Microsoft has made a lot of questionable decisions.
Yeah.
And eventually, when the second Xbox One comes out, and what I mean by the second one is like when,
Xbox do come out.
Well, not really that, but Xbox always has like a, bigger hard drive within like the first or second, year of when the Xbox comes out.
I think the next generation of Xbox is gonna say, "Hey, you know what? We made a big mistake on this. Let's bring back the renting and offline community." I think they're gonna come back with that. I think they've made a mistake with this one, and they're gonna learn from their mistakes. Let's
Hopefully.
hope. Yeah. So PS4 won, and thanks to everybody.
Nintendo was impressive.
And Nintendo is also impressive. So let's respect the Japanese community and
let's respect all gamers everywhere.
Yeah.
No matter what system you get.
Yeah.
This is just our opinions
Yeah.
on it, and
this is just our opinion.
If you don't like our opinions, that's fine. We were like your opinions regardless of what it is. We respect you guys for leaving comments below.
And I'm not against Xbox. I own the original, and I have Halo 1 and 2, so I do like Xbox. I had the original, and I'm just saying what I think about the next generation consoles right now and what my opinion is on it. It's just my opinion, nothing against the company or anything. It's just me saying what I didn't like about the business decisions kind of thing. So, So have a good night, everybody, and you guys rock.
Yep. See y'all later.